Hi everyone, welcome back to our daily clues by Sam. I hope you guys are doing well. It is Tuesday. We have a medium puzzle today, so straight from an easy one to a medium one in one day. If you're new here, Clues by Sam is a daily puzzle and it increases in difficulty along the week. And in it, there are 20 people, each of which is either a criminal or an innocent, and we gotta figure that out using the clues that they give us. We usually play the daily one here on the channel and sometimes some bonus ones. So today, I want to play some of the community puzzles, but let's just jump straight into the puzzle because I will make another video to explain myself about the community puzzles. So let's start today's. We have Logan telling us there are no instances above K who neighbor him. So above K, there's one person that neighbors Logan Gunny, and Gunny has to be there are no instances, so Gunny has to be a criminal. Always best to double check than make it wrong. Gunny now says that Wanda is one of 11 instances on the edges. So Wanda is an instant. There's 14 people on the edges. 11 of those are instances. There's only 3 criminals and Gunny is one of them. One of the criminals. Wanda now says that only one of the 3 criminals neighboring K is Terry's neighbor. So the people that neighbor K and Terry are Logan and Kita. Logan is an innocent, and I almost ignore Logan here because he was already revealed, so that's a trap for our minds. When we see 2 people sharing neighbors and we ignore the neighbors that are already revealed, we can't do that because the clue says only one of the 3 criminals, but it could have said only one of the innocents, and then if I ignore Logan, I would wrongly make Kita an innocent. Hope that makes sense. But we know now that Kita is an innocent. We know now that Kita is a criminal. And that Kay has a third criminal who's either Penny or Hazel. So we tag them with the same color. And we don't need Wanda's clue anymore because of the tag. Now Kita says that both criminals in row 4 are connected. So that means that the second criminal in row 4 is connected to her because she's a criminal in row 4. So that makes either Penny or Terry the second and last criminal in their row, and Umar definitely an innocent. Now, Umar says there's only one incident in between Jerry and Zane. So Jerry and Zane have Nala and Umar in between them, and Umar is an innocent. So in this case, like I said before, if I were to ignore Umar, I could make Nala wrongly an innocent. But she's gonna be a criminal. And we don't need Umar's school anymore. Nala now says that only one cook has a criminal directly to the right of them. Okay, so Max is a cook, and they have a criminal to their right. I was looking to the left, but it dawned on me that I was looking to the left, and Nala is actually to the right of Max. So that's the cook with a criminal to their right. So that makes Wanda, the second cook, not have a criminal to their right, and we don't need Nala's clue anymore. Now the person to the left, to the right of Wanda, Sia, says there are exactly 2 instances right of K. So Logan is one of them, and the second one could only be Max. Now Max says that only one row has exactly 2 criminals, and we know that row is row 4 because there is going to be a second criminal here, neighboring Kita. That makes row 3 not able to have one more criminal, so K has to be an innocent. Now, oh, I'm gonna leave Max's clue there because it might help us. Kay says that 2 painters have an instant directly to the right of them. So we have 3 painters, all of which are in row 5. One of them is Vince, and he already has an instant to his right. Sia has to have an instant to her right because Zane, the third painter, doesn't have anybody to his right. So Zane has to be an instant, and we don't need Kay's clue anymore. Zane says that all instants in row 1 are connected. Okay. Let's think about this. We couldn't have more than one criminal in row 1 because we already have 2 people on the edges who are criminals, and we know there's only 3 people total on the edges who are criminals. So let's say that either Celia or Dana are that one criminal. in row 1. That would break the rest of the people who are innocents, right? Because they are in the middle. So none of them could be criminals if any criminals are in row 1, because they would break the other criminals who would need to be, they would break the other people who would need to be innocents in that same row. But we are not sure yet if either Benda or Eli are criminals, because any of them could, since they wouldn't be breaking any innocents. But we don't need Zane's school anymore. Celia says there's an odd number of innocents neighboring Wanda. So we know that Wanda has Sia as one of her innocents. She's gonna have a second innocent here in row 4, shared with Kita. So 2 that she has so far makes an even number. That means that she needs a third one, and that has to be Vince, her last neighbor. Now we don't need Celia's school. Vince says there are as many innocent coders as there are innocent cooks. So there's 3 coders, and one of them so far is an innocent, but there's 2 innocent cooks, which means we need a second one, and that has to be Benda. Now, Eli and Penny are gonna be opposites because they are the people left on the edges. Oh, I ignored Jerry. Forget what I said. Benda says there is only one innocent in between Eli and Umar. So in between Eli and Umar, there's Nala, but she's not an innocent, so Jerry has to be the other one. And now Eli and Penny are opposites. So I don't need Benda's school anymore. Jerry says there is only one criminal in column A. So that's Genny. Genny makes Penny an innocent, which makes Eli a criminal, Hazel a criminal, and Terry a criminal because Penny was opposites with so many people. And since we know that row 4 is the only row with 2 criminals only, then we know that row 2 needs a third one, so it is not left with 2. That makes Ivan a criminal as well, and we are done with this one. So that was really good. Appreciate. Very nice. Good percentage of solving with perfect solves. Really proud of the community. Let's try one community puzzle from Sam's bonus. Sam sent us a new letter this week on Monday, and there's a recommended community puzzle, so this is one of the tricky ones. And it doesn't say the hash or the code for it. But if I select the URL, I can see, so I can post the URL for it. There's just no hash here. But we start with, let me restart here. We start with Sophia telling us there are more incidents among pilots than any other profession. It's crazy. It's crazy because Sophia is a singer. I don't see any other singers. There's 2 pilots. If there are more incidents among pilots than any other professions, that means there has to be 2 innocent pilots because Sophia is a singer and she's an innocent, right? So that's our first solve there. I'm gonna leave Sophia's here because it reminds us that there's only one innocent in any profession. Terry says there's an odd number of innocents in column D. Okay. So we need at least a third one. There's a teacher here. Do we have any other teachers? I wish there was a way for us to highlight professions without a clue mentioning it. Uma is a teacher, so we have a second teacher. How do I deal with that? Because let's say there's 2 judges as well. Let's say I make Hazel and Dennis. I don't know where I'm going, but we're going somewhere. Let's say I make Hazel and Dennis criminals. I would have to make Gus and Uma innocents. And I would have to make Ziad innocent, so we have an odd number here. Which would make the other sleuths criminals. But I see no issue with that. The thing is, we need at least one more instance. Is there anything that's stopping us from making all of these people instants? Because if I did that, then what's the issue there? There's no issue. Can we like grab the, let me clear the text. Let me try and tagging the people that I know are opposites, which are all of the, I don't know that all of them are opposites because we could have two criminals here in the builders. Like, there are more instances among pilots than any other profession means that a profession could have zero instance. That's plenty possible. But we do need at least one instance of one of the professions that is in column D. How do I solve that? I love this. Making the gears turn. So I don't know that anybody here is an opposite. There's an more instant pilots than any other professions. And there's a non-number of instants in column D. So I need at least a third one. Oh, K is a singer. So she has to be a criminal. And K says that both criminals in row 3 are connected. So there is a second criminal in row 3. And that has to be Jane. And that makes Ivan an innocent. Okay. Now Ivan says there's an equal number of innocents in rows 2 and 3. Like you could, I'm gonna focus and leave the feedback for the feedback video. There's an equal number of innocents in rows 2 and 3. So row 3 has 2 innocents. Row 3 has 2 innocents. Sorry, a motorcycle went by. And we know that there's 4 people, 2 pairs of each profession in row 2. So that means that each profession has to have 1 innocent and 1 criminal. So we can have 2 innocents and 2 criminals. Because in none of the professions that we have in row 2, we could have 2 innocents. It just couldn't because pilots are the only ones who have 2 innocents. So we are sure now that Gus and Hazel are opposites. So that's one thing. What else? What else? Ah, I'm reading this wrong. It's a cop and a coder in row 2. So we could have Emma and Freya both be innocents because the other cop is Adam. This is getting me. We could have 2 innocents here, but we can't have 2 innocents here. Okay, so that's the new known issue. Ah, but Freya is a coder, and there's already an innocent coder who is Ivan, so Freya has to be a criminal. And now we know that we... This is impressive. Now we know that we can have both of these guys be innocent, so one of the innocents has to be Emma. Okay, that's good. Now, now I'm back to being sure that Gus and Hazel are opposites. And Emma says there's an odd number of innocents neighboring Rose. Rose has 2 innocents so far. So she needs at least 1 more. The thing is, She has two sleuths neighboring her. So Vince and Wanda. But she has a teacher and a builder who could both be innocent, but if both of them are innocent, now the plot thickens for column D, I think. Because we know that if these guys here, let's say that Uma is an innocent, she's gonna make Dennis a criminal. And if any of either Vince or Wanda are innocents, that'll make Ziad a criminal. And that would force Hazel to be an innocent, so we have an odd number of innocents in column D, but doesn't break anything. Can I make... Oh, I have to make Adam a criminal. This is really hard. There are exactly 2 innocents in the corners. Well, Adam is in a corner and he's definitely not an innocent, so we need 2 innocents. And we couldn't have both of those be Dennis and Uma. Sorry. Got frogs in my throat. So we couldn't have both Uma and Dennis be innocents, right? Which forces Zia to be one of the innocents, and Uma and Dennis to be opposites. So we have one more innocent here in column D, and now we have an odd number. See, it says that all innocents in column A are connected. So if we had, now we have a good breakthrough, because if we had Uma be an innocent, that would make Peter have to be an innocent, since all the innocents in column A have to be connected. And now Rose has 4 innocent neighbors, but she has to have an odd number. So one of the sleuths would have to be a second innocent to fix Rose, and that doesn't work for Ziad. That doesn't work for the sleuths. Now, we know then that Uma is definitely a criminal, which makes Dennis an innocent because of that. And we know that both sleuths have to be criminals because of Ziad. Since Rose has to have an odd number of innocents and Peter has to be an innocent, and that makes Rose herself a criminal because she's also a builder, just like Peter. Peter says that Adam has more criminal neighbors than Dennis. We know that Dennis is going to have 1 criminal neighbor here in row 2, and both of them have 3 neighbors total. Adam already has 1 criminal neighbor, but he needs 1 more to have 1 more than Dennis. So Bonnie has to be a criminal. And Dennis couldn't have any more, or else they would have the same number. So Chad has to be an innocent. Now, we need an odd number of innocents in column D, so we need Hazel to be an innocent as well, and that makes Gus a criminal. So that was really nice. Very hard way to think about stuff when you're not mentioning the roles or you're mentioning the roles, but you're not mentioning the professions or the people. So the nice thing about this puzzle is that it only has like most of the clues. I think this is the only one, right? Where there's actual people being mentioned. There's this one that talks about roles. So there's 2. But most of the clues talk about locations on the board and general concepts of professions and rows and columns. So you can't really do the thing that I learned from one of the people that commented. I'm sorry, I don't remember your name, but I know you do watch sometimes. We do the thing where I acquire the tick of double clicking each card, because when you do it, if it's mentioning a specific profession or person, it highlights the profession, all of the people who have the profession. And since we don't have a mechanic where we can like highlight a column, for example, it makes a puzzle harder, in my opinion, on that regard. But harder puzzles are fun, and I do enjoy the aspect of a community being able to bring those differences and those new sort of ways of making puzzles and being creative. Um, one thing that I would like to know is who made the puzzle. Like, you can't sign. You gotta know the person who posted it, and they tell you that they made it. So that's one thing that I don't really appreciate. I would like to know. Like, for example, when you play Minute Cryptic or any of the crosswords puzzles online, you see who made the puzzle, and that's nice. I would like that. But I said I was gonna leave my feedback for the feedback video. I'll leave you guys here for today. I hope you appreciate the video. See you tomorrow for more goals by Sam. Bye bye.